Good morning there. You're watching QTV this morning, and I am Jenna Bosonko. And we hope that you had an amazing weekend. And I have not been here for the last week, and I'm sure I've missed out on a lot. And welcome to the show, gentlemen. Ibrahim Abalde and Mr. Mamadou Mboj.
Thank you. It's good to be back here. I mean, yes, it's true. You've not been here throughout last week, and I am pretty sure our viewers miss you.
Are you sure?
On this platform.
So I'm not sure. You know, viewers want it calm and soft and everything.
But viewers might have different tastes. Some might want. Dafa too much. Understand?
Are you for real? Dafa bari, Mr. Mboj.
Wow.
Dafa bari tamit.
That is right. But I watch you on Youth Dialogue.
Oh yeah, last week. National, the National Youth Parliament specifically.
I watched.
Yeah, which was good. Which was good. Yeah.
You know, so I'm a fan of Youth Dialogue la.
Fan, fan of Youth Dialogue. Youth Dialogue nag mo ubi geo bi di.
Jena ba yow suma fans ga. Origa, yow suma fans ga. Yeah, so Mr. Mamadou Mboj.
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Mboj, before you come up with an introduction, we just have a short interruption there. So we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, the show continues. Do stay.
QMoney is back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new QMoney app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy QPower, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send QMoney, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Kalpe. We innovate, others follow.
QCell moy suñu boss. QCell moy suñu boss. QCell moy suñu boss. Go, ebe da full network suda tili QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata QCell. Most reliable network dumala keta wati QCell. Wo quality man nyon soda jam ona manke QCell. Hanibe wulo ni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network ko se taria QCell suñu boss. Nyo finjeka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus, and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Suñu boss. Itella follow adi doron nesa keno. Gambia bela nyon tawo fele QCell. Ko fason tawo buka busi QCell. Itella molti milka kukutol nati Gambia. QCell meda lori la kilianol yele imanyina amanda wala itella ka quality dila dadi ma itelle silo wala wodol mume be keno ma. QCell suñu boss. QCell suñu boss. QCell suñu boss. QCell suñu boss. Connect solo be bambandi QCell suñu boss. QCell most innovative QCell suñu boss.
QMoney arti webi nafitora gol no yawi te non kadi no moƴƴi. QMoney a wawa wadde piiji ɗin fow kala ko wonɗa wattu kala a wawa e hendade mbuudi maɗin e o QMoney app keson a wawa e nattinde mbuudi ma ɗum yaltina soda credit soda QPower soda ko falaɗa te non kadi wawa hen yoɓude himɓe e ko heewi ida wawi kadi nuldude QMoney yoɓa bilji maɗin te non kadi hendoɗa mbuudi ko yaasi nulda himɓe kadi mbuudi fi nafitoragol ɗum no weeɓi yahu ka Play Store ma ɗum ka App Store fi wawa fuɗɗade fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu QMoney customer care e 133 QMoney suñu kalpe minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki.
Welcome back from that short break, and we apologize for that brief interruption there. Mr. Mboj, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Jay. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yes, good to see you again.
Yes, so how was your weekend? You talked about having a very relaxed weekend in a private conversation before we came on air.
I had a nice weekend. Saturday, I went to a graduation get-together.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, his daughter graduated there. And then on Sunday, I got my kids, my boys.
Yeah.
So we were hanging out and then Liverpool took the Premiership title.
Yeah, so that was
So I'm
very relaxed.
I'm so high right now.
Yeah.
Your boys, 2 boys, right?
Yes.
How does it feel dealing with 2 boys?
That's good. That's easy.
It is because it is.
Yeah, easy, man. Kids, I find kids are much easier than grown-ups to deal with. Absolutely. People think kids are this or kids are that. It just depends on, do you set the boundaries early?
Yeah.
You understand each other. You know what I mean? And you are consistent.
In their lives.
And they trust you. There's trust. Whatever you tell them to do, they will do.
They will do because they've
Yeah, but how
built
do
that
you
trust.
establish that?
Yeah.
That's the key. That's the secret.
So was
to
it going to be different if you had girls or a girl?
No, it wouldn't make any difference.
It's
You
the
see,
same.
the way we grew up, this man can do this, girl can't do that. It really wasn't part of my world, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
You know, that's the conventional bit when we were much younger. But as a teenager and in my 20s, I think we were feminists.
Okay,
You know
in a
what
way,
I mean? You know,
okay.
in many ways.
Yeah. Balde, you have boys and girls.
Yes,
How does it feel? You know, does the parenting have a difference when it comes to the girl child, the boy child? For example, gender roles. Do you recognize those?
interesting.
Well, I think for me, it's easier to deal with the girl than the boys.
Really? Why?
I mean, well, it's just a different thing. I mean, you can see how I'm attached to the girl child.
But generally, then they want
You understand?
Father-daughter
then they
relationship is special.
they gel.
Yeah,
And,
it's just
and you
something
see
about
these
that.
boys, they treat me as a mate. I mean, they don't.
pasigor
Wow,
lang.
they feel like, okay, this is our dad, and you know we have to treat each other.
Yeah.
Like. So this is how we do. I mean, sometimes, I mean, you'll find me telling my kids, I'm not gonna beat any of you. We are going to fight. In your head, you fight.
Yeah.
But the girl is different. She's
Yeah.
always around.
Yeah.
You know, near daddy. You know, she's always listening. Whatever you tell her,
Yeah.
she listen. So I think it's different for me, boys and girls, how you treat them.
Yeah.
And I think it's different. The two of us, how do we do our parenting? When I heard nyaf, whatever, whip, whatever,
Yeah.
No,
zero.
those things you say it. I mean, sometimes
don't
to spice up the relation. You know, I've realized that sometimes to discipline a child, you don't need to whip.
Yeah, you can
understand?
punish.
You don't need to whip. I mean, it kills the confidence level
Of the child.
of that child
Yeah.
when you are whipping all the time. You know, but you will talk, you will advise,
yeah.
you will sometimes threaten to do certain things.
For me, I obviously I'm not married. I don't have kids, but I anticipate like having, you know, someday, obviously.
They go get a husband.
I anticipate someday getting my own children, but for some reason, I always will say to myself, I want a girl child, because I am looking for friendship in our relationship, because girl to girl, you know, I know already, I understand you know, I understand what it means being a woman, being a girl, so I'm in a better position to advise and to
treat her.
guide.
Okay.
Exactly, but for the boy, I don't know your hormonal stuff. I don't know what you guys go through. I have no clue.
We'll handle ourselves. Time will come when you get to a stage as boys, you handle yourself.
I don't know what you go through emotionally.
The hormonal stuff, just ignore that.
I should, right?
Yeah, that's just a physiological thing.
Okay.
Just engage with the psychological thing you see before
the
you. That
boy.
is really what the person is.
Okay.
Male, female, man, I just do
Feel
not
like you
care.
deal with them
Man, I
equally.
don't care either one. I remember when with my first child in England, they were asking me, you want a boy or a girl? I said, I don't care.
You
A
said
human
that?
being is a human being. Whether you're a boy or you're a girl,
Yeah.
I'll just take it as it comes. So this preference, this gender wars.
And you know,
You're not into that.
I'm not into that at
the
all.
surprising thing about one thing, a boy or a girl or something, I can remember when we were small, like when I was a
Yeah.
small boy,
Yeah.
you know, my mom always, okay, I want a girl child, I want a girl child.
Okay.
She keeps having boys. Boys.
It happens.
And there's a lady, she keeps telling me, I want a girl child all the time. I can say, this is the 7th child. All boys.
And they keep trying. They don't give up.
They keep trying. You
I know that.
So normally those things happen.
I'm from that sort of thing in many ways. My dad had 7 boys before a single girl came along. There is
Wow.
So we call ourselves first and the last. I'm first and she's last.
Yeah, so the single girl, I mean, I wish I was you'll be such a princess. You have them protecting you. Oh my God.
It would be different. It would, especially growing up
so
in the midst of...
So you guys used to be like really jealous of
her?
No, for me, the age difference between myself and her is so huge.
You couldn't deal.
We never even lived together.
Oh, okay. That's understood. That's understood. Yeah, so moving on, let's take a look at our proverb, and then from there, we take a look at current affairs. The only bird in history has seen good and evil on earth. The only bird in history has seen good and evil on earth.
The only bird?
Yeah.
In history?
I have no idea.
Whose tree?
That's it.
Just want to know whose tree and evil on earth.
So the people watching online, on Facebook, can you help us? If you have an idea, if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, you can give us an idea, because we always interpret these, but today
in history
sounding like a riddle,
good and
kind
evil
of
cryptic. It's so cryptic.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it doesn't make. I mean, I cannot put anything together.
Me too.
okay, the only bird. Okay, that's isolation.
Yeah.
One has seen good and evil
in history on earth. It's a Manjago proverb.
Is it I don't know. The isolated, watchful, observant
Always
person
see things.
will see everything.
I agree.
The good as well as the bad. You know what I mean? The
I agree.
complexities and.
Well, I can connect at the ending. I just want to see good and see evil. This means one have gone through a lot in life. I mean, if you were to see good and evil, so you should be able to, judge things. You should be able to stand on a very strong ground. I mean, you should be a very experienced person.
And also,
and connected the tree of knowledge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And also, like, generally, people will be like, oh, when you're a loner, like,
that's
Community Kinga Hamantene has gone through evil, because Balab Koko Dineka alone, the person associated and has gone through a lot, and then later is on their own and is just observing people interacting, so you could tell what is going on well and what is not, kind of. Anyway.
Well, let them help us with the proverb.
So today, this is the beautiful part of not getting the proverb prior, because then we think on the spot.
Yes,
so we're throwing the ball to all of you who are watching on Facebook and on YouTube to tell us what your opinion is on this proverb.
And you know, sort of like writers, artists, and all of that. They talk about they talk up the virtue of solitude. It is in solitude that you can be in communion with the muses, with those things that give you your imagination, your creativity.
Right.
So the only bird. So this is really, we're coming back to that. It is by solitude, maybe, that your mind, you can survey the whole of humanity. I think this good and evil thing goes straight to the notion of humanity.
Makes sense.
I think it's a matter of, it's a question of solitude, and then surveying the multiplicity, as it were, the variegated nature of humanity, the good, the evil. You see it all. That's just extraordinary. And then who would you tell? I don't know.
Well, so we'll just go for a short break, Ibrahim. And when we come back, we will get into current affairs. I think top of our list today has to do with the funeral of the Pope. He's been laid to rest on Saturday. So when we come back, we'll take a look at that and other things that have happened over the weekend. We'll be right back.
Q Money imurundana ne koteke anila ni mobile app sone yaringo alanna yata ndum ise kuol bekeno ibeda woda wati ise munafanno ila kodola anin Q Money la ni mobile app kuto ise kodo dundino ye kodo fintinde ise credit ko sanno ye Q power sang ye fengol sang ndum fanan ise mol jono anin ku jamalu ise Q Money kino yela bilol jo ndum fanan bantala banko se kodo kiyeno ise kodo fanan kino do kotenge pour que munafanyina a download sign Play Store anin App Store ni laftaka serengo soto je Q Money customer care commandi 133 Q Money suñu kalpe ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma.
Read this out. Yeah, so welcome back from the break. We have right now an interpretation sent by Mr. Carr, and you know he's a poet. Yeah. So he said the line, "The only bird in the tree has seen good and evil on earth," is poetic and symbolic. Here's one interpretation. The only bird in the tree could symbolize solitude or unique witness, a long observer in place of insight or detachment. He has seen good and evil on earth suggests this bird has experienced or observed the full spectrum of human behavior from virtue to corruption. So the phrase might mean this solitary being as born witness to the complicities and moral struggles of the world, seeing both its beauty and its darkness. So we talked about the person being alone and seeing two different things.
Yeah.
Completely.
Spectrum.
Exactly, the whole spectrum.
And the solitude bedowers it in the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right,
So thank you, Mr. Carr,
Yeah.
for sharing that with us. We appreciate it. So the Pope on Saturday was laid to rest. And, you know, we're sending some love and light and condolences to the, you know, entire Catholics in the Gambia and beyond. And we saw thousands, hundreds of thousands of mourners, you know, gathered to pay their last respects to him. And, you know, we've seen tributes as well coming, Donald Trump, former President Joe Biden. We've seen leaders from across the world come together to also pay their last respects. But Mr. Mboj, what is that thing? I will share mine, but I want to hear from you first, that you most would remember from Pope Francis.
Oh, this is the key, yeah? So you realize that 50 heads of state, presidents, prime ministers, monarchs went. Then you wonder, this is the question, why? Even Donald Trump was there. What was it about this man that gave him that appeal,
attention,
you know, that pulling power?
Yeah.
And he wasn't just a leader for the Catholic Church, for whole of humanity.
Yes.
Quite interesting. Then you start going into his life. He was a Jesuit. The Jesuits educated Europe, so that intellectual rigor was part of his makeup. And then a Franciscan. He took the name Francis from St. Francis of Assisi, the founder of the Franciscan order, with their sort of vow of poverty, helping, humility, going to meet the people, taking care of the sick and the elderly. So when you combine sort of intellectual rigor and that sense of empathy, kindness, humanity, oh, what a mix. Francis was really that mix. His favorite thing was that, you know, the shepherd, you know, that's the metaphor used, isn't it, with the priest or whoever and your followers and the flock. It's that the shepherd must have the smell of the sheep. You must always smell of sheep. Extraordinary image.
True.
You must always be with your people. When he became Archbishop of Buenos Aires, Argentina, the predecessor lived in a palace mansion.
He lives in a little, he has a little corner.
And then replicate. You could see that consistency
and he even cooks
when
for
he
himself.
became Pope and all the rest of
even
it.
when he became Pope, cooking for himself. And I think for me is the fact that he was in a very, very critical condition, but, you know, asked his final words. These are from, you know, the media, and his medical assistant and the doctor on call on that day, you know, he asked them, can you help me go and see the 50,000, you know, worshippers who are outside at St. Peter's Square to have, you know, just to talk to them on Easter. You know, he was in a very critical condition, but he was insisting that he wanted to go and speak to them, and they were able to help him and support him do it. So like you said, he was an individual who believed that, you know, he has to interact with the people, which is a good thing.
Absolutely. I was going through a documentary, you know, on this morning, like when I was coming to work, I listened to the narrator, and he said, how simple was, in fact, the funeral. I mean, how even the casket where they put him
He
was
even
was
decided
was
not to be buried
was
where everybody else would usually be buried.
wooden casket. So it's telling you how, when you are gifted by God, you know, at some point, you know, how you should come down to the level of the people. You understand? So it's telling you how leaders should behave. It's telling you how people that are entrusted with certain positions, you know, there is no price. I mean, it's not going to reduce you. It's not going to bring down your status when you come down to the level of the people, no matter what.
Yeah.
Let me tell you in which ways we'll really miss him. In this world of sort of the megalomaniac, we've got a Trump now, be the Putin, they are all the same. The pump and the hype. You have this tech billionaires thinking they can do whatever. So he was just an extraordinary corrective.
Yes.
You know, a counterpoint, really, to that. I think really the appeal lies in that. This big, powerful figure. Let's not forget, he wasn't simply a religious leader.
He was
a political leader.
Well, yes.
The Vatican is the smallest state. It is a state in the world.
Yeah.
So in a sense, he was also
Yeah.
a president.
Yeah.
Look at his stance on Gaza, whilst all other leaders, quite a good number of them were sort of hedging their bets.
Yeah.
Being careful.
He didn't do
being
that.
diplomatic and all of that. He didn't.
No.
You know, he came right through. So this is why all over the world, Catholics or non-Catholics, they're all mourning.
Celebrating,
so
yeah.
this is a good
Yeah.
example of a leader. I think
so
for
the
the world to
Vatican,
have.
the Vatican media informed the media that at some point he had to suffer, you know, a stroke and eventually a coma, and then that's how we lost him. But you know, his legacy lives on. You know, with some of the good things that
absolutely.
he's done.
I mean, it reminds me of Pope John Paul II. You know,
I think him.
Who
Yeah.
came
his
here in
only-
1987?
Yeah, he came to Gambia.
yeah, he was in Gambia.
Yeah.
Around
you know,
that time, 89.
Man loolu
Yeah.
waaw.
Way back, yes.
Waaye
I
buñ
know.
magee
I
lañ
remember
gis
it.
ne
around that time.
waaw buñ
I
magee
remember
lañ
that.
gis images yi ne ñëwoon na fi.
Ñëwoon na fi,
But I
yeah.
can't remember.
He was
No,
also
you
very
can't-
pragmatic
you can't,
person.
Yeah,
You know.
he also had his impacts. Yeah, so moving on, let's take a look at politics. Half-die ward in Banjul, NPP, PPP candidate, and NPP had over 600 votes, and then the PPP candidate had over 300 votes. So which means
317.
yes, so which means
Side,
that
yeah.
NPP retained their seat at half-die ward, and I saw them. There was a lot of celebration.
Well, you
This
know, for me,
councillor-
my problem now is what I don't understand.
Yeah.
How people are treating councillor
It's so big.
election. It's just like presidential
Presidential.
election now. I mean, seeing everybody, executives from different
Nit ñi
parties,
di tukki, ñuy
you
fayal
know,
ay
people
nit
coming
flight,
all
ay
over,
ambassador.
you know, to make sure, I mean,
They
there is a huge campaign talking
Wow.
to people. They are not taking this lightly, you know.
And it's interesting.
Yes, they didn't, because this is really when by-elections sort of offer an opportunity to sort of test the waters.
Yeah.
How are people feeling? So I think that's really the significance. It is the timing of it that made it significant.
Elections is next year.
Elections next year. So that's so you want to test. You see, with the NPP, well, they would want to prove to everybody else that they're still popular. They're doing the right thing. People support them. So this win is a feather in the cap.
Yeah.
It's a you know,
I
it's an
agree.
injection of energy and confidence and, you know, that sort of thing, good feeling. Well, PPP, UDP didn't put up a candidate, but they supported the PPP.
Kind of an
candidate.
alliance.
You see, there was an alliance there, and they lost. But maybe they knew that there was you were just going to waste their money, knowing very well that you're not popular here.
In Banjul,
so no
yeah.
need, you know, to do that. So here we are. NPP will be like,
Well,
you see,
well,
we're still popular.
this wave is telling you how 2026 election, it's going to, I mean, be very interesting. You know, the Masembe by-election was like this,
Yeah.
and Banjul half-die ward election too. Now we are going towards the biggest election, that's 2026. So it's going to be very interesting times ahead.
Well, certainly, it will be interesting, but we really cannot delineate anything. We do not see anything yet. These 2 ward elections, they're just too small of a sample to give us a view into how things might be, to provide a window for us to say how things might be in future. So we do not know yet.
Yeah.
Maybe there are too many X's. Maybe somebody else can just emerge.
From nowhere.
Remember in 2016 how Mama Kande just emerged from nowhere and then suddenly. So you just never know. It's too early to say, really. Let's give it more
Mr.
time.
Momodu Mboj, I am sensing a coalition from parties 2026 because Gambia will go to an extent whereby if a party is to win, if a number of people need to win, they need to collate. I mean, they need to come together, I mean, to win elections.
I disagree with that. There will be lots of coalitions here, but let's be careful here. There are a good number of parties never won any elections whatsoever. It's a party just in name, not a single member in the National Assembly. You go to the wards, I think we've got 120 wards
and
across
they don't even
the
have a
country.
presence
Not
there.
a single one there. So you have a lot of electoral non-entities imitating, pretending to be parties.
I
So
agree.
they come in their coalition trying to create hype, but there's really nothing behind the hype. You know, it's just an empty shell.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
Yeah, so Friday, April 25th, 2025 was World Malaria Day. And, you know, last week I had malaria.
You see?
So when I was like, and it's been ages, I did not have malaria. It's been ages. So when I got malaria, I'm like, malaria is still existing in Gambia? Because I've not actually gotten sick from malaria for a very long time. And that brings me to progress that has been made, because according to the data, Gambia has made progress when it comes to reducing malaria, and with national malaria incident declining by 70% from 149 per 1,000 people in 2011 to 44% per 1,000 people in 2022. So there has been, you know, some progress when it comes to the number of individuals dying or...
Absolutely, and well done. But really the object is to become malaria-free.
Yeah, eradication.
It can be done.
Waste management.
Countries have done it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
You see how
it's
in the
cross-cutting.
end, thank you, in the end, before we can achieve that, well, you need the right people, the right citizenship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what we do.
Yeah.
Institutions and the state, that's one thing, but we know that for a malaria-free thing, ordinary people really
need to also...
Because how do you keep your area,
clean.
your house, your compound, your street, whatever, how do you keep it clean? How do you need to have certain habits,
Exactly.
a certain outlook to achieve certain
Malaria
outcomes.
eradication.
Well, you can, if you compare the malaria, you know, the problems of malaria we used to have then and now, I can say it's reduced drastically because there is a lot of sensitization.
Yeah.
People are using bed nets now, you understand? So it's like we have gone a long way, especially the World Malaria Program. They've really done very well.
Man ñeme ñu ma bed man bed net musuma buka bed net yow bed net ñeme nga bed net
I can sleep without a bed net.
Really?
Wow.
Man musuma nelaw si ron bed net.
I can.
And ñeme ñu ma bed net rek.
Okay,
I don't know.
Come, I have like a weird
why?
feeling of being under a bed net.
Duga rek fay sa lampati da nelaw. Lolu dara. You know, but it prevents you. Since the introduction of these bed nets, especially the medicated bed nets, I mean, we've seen it have reduced drastically. You know, they will tell you the statistics. I mean, if Gando was here, he would have said, okay, this have reduced drastically.
Well,
No, we've already
I've
got
already
that.
given
You've
you the
already said that.
statistics.
Okay.
That was why I said, fine, well done. I
Yeah.
say congratulations. However, the object is to
It's
make it malaria
eradication.
free.
Yeah.
True.
And I feel like there should be better technology than bed nets now, because I feel like bed nets, it's kind of tiring.
Wa nekul ñepp ko
Taka
buga.
bed net gene ko food ko. So I feel like, can we come up with something more innovative that is less stressful?
The World WHO, they've approved vaccines.
Yes.
Can you imagine? I think
I've
2
looked
or so.
into that,
So
yes.
it will be
It's
interesting
still
to
undergoing.
see. Yeah.
It's still undergoing actually review.
So that's a radical achievement, really. It's a massive
Mr. Mbo, do you like bed nets?
Absolutely.
Man, when people see they sleep on a
Hang on,
bed
man.
net, man, you mean you're a bed net?
When I was younger, yes, using bed net, but I didn't see any problem with it. I was just, there was
There's no
man,
problem.
there was no issue.
I have this
Man, I
weird
didn't have any
feeling.
issue.
How much me no more because I don't remember me sleeping under a bed net. Why I'm this weird feeling about a bed net. About when I'm under a bed net, it's like I'm wrapped dead.
You see,
like I'm wrapped dead in my
I
white
grew up
cloth.
sleeping under a bed net. You know, ñun time xale fe ñu ngi amee woon benn lal boobu da nga sànni sa bed net bi si kaw rek mu wàcca. Is it iron bed la nii mu ngi amee weñ. Xaw ma jagar njaay lal yooyu noonu. So that's waaw Caam jërëjëf thank you noonu la lal yi tudda. So yooyu noonu ñu ngi ko amee woon time xale. You know waaye lal bi dafa bëri noise. So ba tëddee rek kii ka ngool di. So that's how we grew. We are used to those things. Moo tax ba léegi mënuma tëdda without bed net.
Man, fana miinuma ko time xale. Musuma remember suma boppa tëdda under a bed net. So maybe loolu waaye
am na ñoo xam ne buuñ ko nag.
ñeme ñu ma bed waaw man bëgguma bed net te ñeme ñu ma bed net. I feel like I'm trapped.
Why? It's very good to prevent malaria.
Wow. Bed net moom mooy loolu. And it's effective. It works
Very
at the end of the day.
Very effective.
So as we go, if the vaccine comes, there's no need for bed net. And also, there's a malaria preventer. There's drugs. You know, there's anti-malaria where you can walk at a pharmacy, buy an anti-malaria, and for 3 months you are safe. You're protected from, you know, at the end of the day, the prevention is here. It's just one tablet. You take it in, and for the period, you're safe.
So you are immune to...
Kind of, you know.
And even better prevention is destroy their breeding ground.
Waste management.
Absolutely.
Proper waste management strategies.
Destroy the breeding ground.
That is what it is.
That is the ultimate.
That is, you know, that is the eradication aspect,
actually,
you know, that is needed at the end of the day. Why Amanda, last week I'm on malaria, and I took the Quatem, the whole dose.
Oh yeah, the Quatem is good.
And it's so nahari.
Quatem,
you know,
why very effective.
But yeah, it worked for me. So yeah.
You take Quatem for 3 days, you are okay. You go handle your business.
You go handle your business. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that is all on foreign affairs today. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Mboch, and we hope that you had an amazing week ahead.
Well, yeah.
What are you looking forward to?
Doing what I do every day, you know what I mean? Hopefully, I'll have surprises. I like surprises. I hope something will surprise me this week.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it is, but that anticipation of there might be a surprise, could feel like...
Really?
Positive surprise. Let's say positive surprise.
Okay.
Wow, something positive.
Is coming about. All right, so we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, Ibrahima will be taking a look at a national review on research in the Gambia, on regulation framework on research in the Gambia, and also we'll be taking a look at water and sanitization, wash facilities in the Gambia, and we will be joined by a representative from the Ministry of Health from their wash unit. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Money Delsina ak seen mobile app bu bees bii óor na gaaw na te it mun nga koo jëfandikoo pour def ci loo bëgga foo mun di ne waxtu bu ne mun ngaa jot sa xaalis ak Q-Money mobile app bu bees bii mun ngaa dugal xaalis génnee xaalis jënd si crédit jënd si Q Power jënd loo bëgga ak yu bëri mun nga ci yónnee Q-Money fay sa bill si jot xaalis bitim réew yónnee xaalis ci noo ko bëggee looy def yomba na downloadal app bi léegi ca Play Store bu dul loolu App Store pour nga door pour am si lu leer koolal Q-Money customer care si 133 Q-Money suñu kalpe ñoo xaali yoon wi ñeneen toppa.
Q-Money is back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new Q-Money app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy Q-Power, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send Q-Money, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. Q-Money, Sinu Kalpe. We innovate, others follow.
QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. Soro. Go. Ebe dawa full network suda tili. QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata. QCell. Most reliable network dumala keta wati. QCell. Wo quality man nyon soda jam. Ona manke QCell. Hani be wulo ni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network o se taria. QCell. Suñu boss. Nyo finjeka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Itella follow adi doron nesa keno. Gambia bela nyon tawo fele QCell. Ko fasunta buka busi QCell. Itella molti milka kukutol nati Gambia. QCell meda lori la kilianol yele imanyina amanda wala itella ka quality dila dadi ma itelle silo wala wodol mume be keno ma. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. QCell sunyu boss. Connection be bambandi QCell sunyu boss. QCell most innovative QCell sunyu boss.
Kiwmoni arti webi nafitora gol no yawi te non kadi no moƴƴi Kiwmoni a wawa wadde piiji ɗin fow kala ko wonɗa wattu kala a wawa hendade mbuudi maɗin e o Kiwmoni app kesong a wawa nattinde mbuudi maɗum yaltina soda credit soda kiw paba soda ko falaɗa te non kadi wawa hen yoɓude himɓe e ko heewi ida wawi kadi nuldude Kiwmoni yoɓa bilji maɗin te non kadi hendoɗa mbuudi ko yaasi nulda himɓe kadi mbuudi fi nafitoragol ɗum no weeɓi yahu ka play store maɗum ka app store fi wawa fuɗɗade fi heɓugol hen ko laaɓi noddu Kiwmoni customer care e 133 Kiwmoni suñu kalpe minen udditi lawol ngol si woɓɓe jokki Kiwmoni e muruntananne koteke anilañi mobile app sone yariŋo a lannayata ndun e se kuwol be keno ibe dawoda wati o wati e se muna fanno ila kodola anin Kiwmoni la ñim mobile app kuto e se kodo dundino ye kodo fintinde e se credit ko sanno ye Kiw power sang ye feŋol sang ndun fanan e se mol jono anin ku jamalu e se Kiwmoni kino ye la bilol jo ndun fanan bantala banko se kodo kiyeno e se kodo fanan kino do kotenye pour que muna fanyina a download sign play store anin app store ni laftaka kusenango soto je Kiwmoni customer care commandi 133 Kiwmoni suñu kalpe ntolle nga silo walang dole mol noma Kiwmoni delsina ak sen mobile app bu bees bi orna gawna te it mun nga ko jëfandikoo pour def ci loo bëgga foo mun di ne waxtu bu ne mun nga jot sa xaalis ak Kiwmoni mobile app bu bees bi mun nga dugal xaalis génnee xaalis jënd si crédit jënd si Kiw Power jënd loo bëgga ak yu bari mun nga ci yónnee Kiwmoni fay sa bill si
Gas, the energy that brings us together.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And now, Ibrahima, we're shifting our attention to the National Research Regulatory Framework. So the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology is putting up frameworks, setting standards for research that has been done in the Gambia, ensuring that participants who participate in research, they are respected, and also the research standards that we set can actually compete with international standards set. And to help us further understand what this entire framework involves and how it is going to change the research game in the Gambia, we're joined by James Gomez, who is the Director of Research at the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology. Thank you so much, Mr. Gomez, for joining us on the program. So the National Research Framework, the regulatory framework, I was going through it and I saw how really there's several components for this particular research regulatory framework, ensuring that research is taken to the next level in the Gambia. So what further does this particular framework include?
I would first love for us to understand what is this all about, Jennifer, before we delve into
which he'll be talking about part of the components anyway. But it's a National Research Regulatory Framework, so
thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share with you some of those frameworks that the ministry developed. I think it's important to know that the National Research Framework came about from the National Research Policy that was developed in 2024 to 2029. We can call it the 4th strategic policy document that provides the kind of and strengthening those kind of guidelines, those research governance guidelines. And it also talk about research funding in that policy. And it also emphasized the importance of having the research aligned with your national development. In that policy, it talks greatly about the research. When you say the research, you're talking about the research priority in the country, areas in the country. It talks a lot about that, and the policy identified those kind of national sector priority areas. And along the line of the policy, it gives some pronouncement, policy pronouncement. And those policy pronouncements are those recommendations that we are now working on. That is the tools that you're hearing or you watch on TV. And this is the bill. The bill is there to now, because there are pronouncements that there must be kind of a regulatory body. The bill talks about the NADIC. How the NADIC will function. When I say NADIC, it's National Research Development Innovation Council and its committees. So the policy is all about that. And coming down to the tools that we validated. We validated the bill. We validated the RIF, the Research Excellence Assessment Framework. And we validated the GRR. They are all 2025 to 2031. They are all regulatory instruments. So it's important that we take them, one by one. I started from the policy. The policy gives pronouncement to this. So we're going to talk about the bill. Well, later on, if it is approved by Parliament, it will be called an act. So this bill we call it NADIC, National Research Development and Innovation Council, as a legal body responsible for coordinating, as I said, for funding, for regulating, and promoting research development innovation in the Gambia. When you look at the bill, it ensures the council's operation, how the councils will operate, and also how it relates, the council relates with the ministry. Of course, the ministry has oversight function over the council, even though the council will be independent, just like NACA.
NACA,
Yes, but yet it's going to be, we will have oversight function over them, but they will function independent. Yes. So it outlines the council's mandates, to identify research priority, managed by the council. So the bill recognizes those, those bodies responsible for research management. And also, when you look at the bill, we call it the council, because the bill talk about the council, will also oversee the creation of, when you have the opportunity to look at the organogram, they will look at the creation of the bodies, the committees that I mentioned, the National Scientific Committee, National Ethics Committee, inside the NADIC. So NADIC is going to be a council there and have some committees that will be responsible for, others will be responsible for looking at project that is scientifically oriented or looking at the project that is ethically oriented. So these are committees within the bill.
So how is this regulatory framework going to be integrated into activities at the University of the Gambia, the University for Education, and all the universities that exist in Gambia that conduct research?
Yeah, the council is a body. And I told you that this council body has experts in it. And of course, the council is meant for institutions. Universities, colleges, any research institutions is automatically under the council. The council is built in such a way that when you look at the governance structure of the council, this governance structure within the council will work with institutions. If it is fully functional, all research institutions, because there will be body responsible for just like accreditation, will be for registration, and all these research bodies will have to register with the council in order to operate. So if you have not registered, the council will not recognize you. That's how the council will work with
all these universities
with all the universities and colleges.
Okay, and projects like you mentioned. That have to do with
all, because it outlines the council's diverse relationship with.
So, Mr. Gomez, what are some of the existing gaps on how research is conducted in the Gambia? Because that is why the framework comes. It's coming to ensure that these gaps, are breached. So currently, what are gaps that really exist when it comes to how research is being conducted in the Gambia?
Yes, you have to understand that before the policy, there were people who were doing research in the Gambia, and it's like what my permanent secretary said, everybody were doing research in silos.
Yes.
Even though we used to have Gambia government MRC ethic committee that do the clearance. And sometimes they shape themselves as if they are the national body.
Yes.
Of course, the government is there with them. The gap was like, we discovered this gap in our relationship as we go around trying to, before we finally come up with a policy, we had what you call, we engage the community and we engage the institutions about their future research plans and how their challenges were. So we discovered that there were gaps in the sense that there were duplication of efforts.
Okay.
Because different institutions were doing research
differently,
and they can duplicate effort. Even in terms of funding, there are also duplication.
Wow.
So and anybody can come anywhere in the Gambia and do research and go.
Okay.
Yes, it's true when it comes to human subjects like clinical research. They go through MRC.
Yeah, but otherwise.
But otherwise, they were research that been taking place in the Gambia. They never go through any clearance procedure or any process.
So who check if the rules are followed? I mean, who monitors the whole framework, the whole system?
The ministry, as I said, we are seeing a situation where if the council is, if the bill, as the proposed bill, if it is enacted and it becomes an act, the ministry will now institute or establish the council with an executive secretary, and now when the executive secretary exists with his own bodies, the ministry will just be there to see whether, they have done their work. That is where the research excellent assessment framework document came about. Because the research excellent assessment framework 2025 to 2030, the framework mirrored the implementation of the council. It's like it's a tool that the council will use. So in other words, we call it a national development, we call it a sub-frame under the GR, the Gambia Research Regulation. Times don't confuse it. The RIF is there as a quality tool that assesses the quality. So if we look at the RIF, it outlines the category of research excellence. It outlines, foundational research. It also outlines policy influence. Like if you want to submit a proposal, when we look at the proposal or the council, when they look at the proposal, they look at how proposal is it. They look at your originality, and they also look at how your proposal relate with the policies, and they look at how your proposal is transformational. What can it do? Can it transform anything? If you do this research, what impact will it cause? Will it, those are the things. So when you ask who regulates it, we will say it's going to be done by, they will use this instrument to regulate. The council will use the REEF instrument to regulate the research in the Gambia.
I wanted to ask, how does it help protect the people and the economy?
Of course, of course, there is what we call National Research Ethic Regulatory Framework.
Participants.
We call it GAM-NARIF. It's also a tool that we developed from 2025 to 2030. You know, I think I mentioned about the NREC, National Research Ethic Committee, within the council. So they are going to be specialized on ethics. So you dare not...
A lot of subcommittees, huh?
Yeah.
Yes. If you look at the organogram, it has only 2 major committees within the organogram, the NREC and the National Scientific Committee. And then all other research institutions will be reduced to IREC, Institutional Research Ethics Committee. And that's where the bulk of the work bulk of research will be taking place. Like University of the Gambia, they will have their what you call, there will be a committee responsible for research ethics called IREX. University, American International University will also have IREC. Even our Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital will have IREC.
Okay.
So somebody will ask if a private researcher want clearance, where will you go? It depends on what you want to study or you want to investigate. If you want to investigate issues to do with economics or whatever, you know, or issues to do with of health, there will be health component part of it. So that's where you take your clearance.
So are there different rules for different institutions?
There are.
Yeah, based on the research.
Based on the types of research you want to conduct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Janet, for me, I'm glad that, you know, the ethical considerations are now being taken seriously, especially when it comes to minors, when it comes to women who are victims of sexual and gender-based violence, all of these things. So we're glad about that. And then, you know, we're looking forward to the council kicking off officially its work and working to ensure that research is regulated, because in other countries we see how they take research. You know, on a daily basis, they come out with research results that are directly contributing to national development. And the fact that now this is going to be aligned to national development policies and plans. But thank you so much, Mr. Gomez, for joining us on the program. And hopefully we'll have another session when the council officially starts operating, just so we have time to further understand deeply what they are doing and how they are directly regulating these things. By that time, registrations have already happened. Right?
Certainly.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll be taking at water and sanitation hygiene review. Wash facilities in the Gambia. I can remember just 3 weeks ago, it was World Water Day, and we were taking a look at how water is a scarce resource and how necessary it is to ensure that there's efficient wash facilities in schools and access for women as well. So we will be right back and talking to Dembo Fati, who's the Deputy Programs Manager of the WASH unit at the Ministry of Health. To stay.
QMoney is back again with its easy-to-use, secure and convenient mobile app that allows you to carry out all your transactions. No matter where you are or what time it is, you can always access your funds. With the new QMoney app, you can cash in and out, buy credit, buy QPower, shop, make payments, and so much more. You can also send QMoney, pay bills, receive international remittances, and transfer cash to others. Just download the app from your Play Store or App Store and get started. For more information, call customer care on 133. QMoney, Sinu Calpe. We innovate, others follow.
Oryx Gas, the energy that brings us together.
Powered by Africa, Oryx Energies.
QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. QCell mooy suñu boss. Go, ebe dawa full network suda tili QCell. Ni lafta diamla wati jamala mune diata QCell. Most reliable network dumala keta wati QCell. Wo quality man nyon soda jam ona manke QCell. Hanibe wulo ni farole kono walante be bako na jala fayola network ko se taria QCell suñu boss. Ñofi njeka indi 3G ñu delu taxi 4G plus and now we bring you 5G. 5G. First and only 5G provider. Itella follow adi doron nesa keno. Gambia bela nyon tawo fele QCell. Ko fasunta buka busi QCell. Itella multi milka kukutol nati Gambia QCell meta lori la kilianol yele imanyina amanda wala itella ka quality dila dadi ma itelle silo wala wodol mume be keno ma QCell sunyu boss QCell sunyu boss QCell sunyu boss QCell sunyu boss connect solo be bambandi QCell sunyu boss QCell most innovative QCell sunyu boss.
Q Money RT.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. So moving on, Ibrahima, like I mentioned, we will now be shifting our attention to water and sanitation hygiene review. And we're joined by Mr. Dembo Fati from the programs department under the wash unit facility at the Ministry of Health. Thank you so much, wash unit at the Ministry of Health, rather. Thank you so much for joining us on that program, Just last week, 3 weeks ago, actually, not last week, we were talking about World Water Day and, you know, discussing some of the challenges that exist and the disparities between rural Gambia and urban Gambia when it comes to, you know, access to wash facilities and all of that. So what was this review actually looking at?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Jenab
and then Mr. Balde, Ibrahim Balde, for this welcome. And like your questions arises, this World Water Day is a very important day in which, you know, the world, international world, puts aside for globally and also at national level for us to reflect the importance of water in the country, how significant the water is. Yeah. Because if you look at it, water is regarded as one of the, you know, the basic human rights when it comes to, you know, all the global, you know, international human rights. So it's also part of a human right in the sense that, you know, nobody can go without water as far as the living condition is concerned. Coming to your questions, the government of the Gambia, as far as the water, access to water in the country, they are doing a lot when it comes to water, both in the rural and also in the urban areas. I know, because if you look at the water, access to water in the country, as far as our mixed data is concerned, it's about 89% of the country access to water. But of course, there are some disparities when it comes to there are some disparities when it comes to rural and that of, you know, urban. Basically, urban have more access to water than in the rural areas. This is simply because if you look at the in the urban areas, because of the developments and the structurally, most of the governments, even not only the Gambia, they focus more in the urban areas because of the infrastructure developments. But nonetheless, the Ministry of Water Resources, if you look at it, that is one of their mandates to ensure that, you know, water is accessible by all. But all the same, rural also, there is enough people have access to, you know, water at their facility, sorry, you know, at their household level. But despite there are some challenges there. And then if you look at it, if you look at the population as to the access to water in the country, you will look at it, some places because of the simply because of the topographic nature of the place, the water is saline for the fact that, you know, if they want to build a water structure, maybe a borehole, because they might want to, because if you look at the access to water, meaning, you know, the person to access the water, it should be within, you know, 30 meters. both to and fro. 30 minutes, around the clock. The person should get access to water, whatever, he or she is.
Okay, 30 minutes.
30 minutes. That is round about to and fro.
Okay.
It's about 30 minutes. So, but if you look at it, it is more accessible in the urban areas than in the
rural area.
In the rural areas.
Okay, and okay, you've talked about the reason being maybe the population, infrastructure, So, I mean, what are we doing, to improve the washing facilities? Having access to them very easily.
Yes. If you look at the washing facility, if you take off wash, there are 3 components in there.
Yeah.
You have the water, you have the sanitation, and you have the hygiene component.
Yeah.
So, if you look at the water section, the Minister of Water Resources, that is their mandate to ensure that the government, to ensure that the population of the Gambia have adequate and accessible water at the household level.
True.
So, but if you look at the sanitation and hygiene, that is the Minister of Health's mandate. Yeah. So, one of the things that we are trying to do is we have just of recently, last year or so, we did some geographic information system mapping, of which we try to have a database at all levels, both rural and urban, public places, and also even the institutions in the country, to establish the baseline as to the access to sanitation and hygiene facility in those places, so that we will be able to know the gaps in our subsequent interventions. So this has informed us that in our subsequent yearly implementation of sanitation and hygiene facilities in the communities across the country, so it is through this database we refer ourselves to better serve the country. Yeah. And
So, research has suggested that the River Gambia, covering 12% of the country, is not exploited enough. When it comes to some of the water challenges that we are facing in the Gambia, the River Gambia can be, part of the solution. So, is there any studies or any, potential approach that you're trying to put together to further use that when it comes to, the disparities that we are talking about when it comes to access to water between rural and urban Gambia?
Not to my knowledge at now, but what I understand, what I know is, like, if you look at the water, the Gambia has one of the best underground water, in the sub-region, if not on the world. So I think maybe one of I'm not aware of any research conducted like the feasibility of using the River Gambia to limit the access of people to use. But like I said, I think this is sometimes one of the things is about the funding. One of the things is about the funding gap, because if you look at our implementation plans, we have the targets, and then at the end of the year that we want to achieve. So, but if you look at it, if you look at the funding, what we receive, basically most of the time we receive funding from UNICEF support, and also from the government of the Gambia. But this has, from the government of the Gambia, this come through the Department of Water Resources, having the project called JICA projects, the SSP projects. Those are the ones they build who build normally this this hand wash.
The pumps ones.
Yes.
Okay.
Hand pump.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I've never been informed of any research as such.
That has been done.
Yeah, that has
also,
been
89%, 89.5% of primary schools in the Gambia, according to this UNICEF research that has been done, have access to wash facilities. And that kind of meets national standards.
Yes.
But there are significant disparities, like we mentioned. So what are we doing? Schools specifically, the girl child has to see their period, they have to wash their hand, they have to wash their private part clean, to, for the change of pads and everything. It becomes a challenge, because then they don't want to go to school because they don't have the exact, sanitary materials and hygiene and water that is necessary for them to be comfortable to stay in class whilst on their periods. So is there funding targeting that?
There is, yes, we have funding from basically our main supporters is UNICEF, and then there we are intervening in that area, like you said. When you look at the access to water at the school level, it is high, but not as in relation to the requirements.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the student population as to the number of water pumps in the schools,
and even number of toilets.
Exactly.
It's not enough.
Exactly.
The population of the students to the number to the number of toilets is very limited.
And sometimes we need to also talk about how hygienic
these toilets are.
These toilets are. It's not just a matter of putting toilets.
No. We look at all these requirements in terms of when putting the water facility, what is the population of the school as to the number of tap heads that we should have in the school. But if you look at the requirements, it's a bit far. Because as far as the WAS guideline that we just developed some months back, we developed specifically guidelines for water sanitation and hygiene in schools. As to the requirements for the student population, both to the
male
water
and female toilet separation,
sanitation and that of hygiene, and even male toilets, they should be separated.
Yes.
And then in this this thing also in this guideline, what the guideline is telling you, each toilet should be 25 students, each cubicle, right? So if you look at some schools, you have maybe 300 or 500. You have only two. Exactly. So these are all things that we have this thing
and also,
in the guideline.
as part of the guideline, do you have that it's regulatory, the schools should have cleaners?
Yes.
Because I'm not public school, maybe once suba suñ clean a toilet bi, duñ ko clean out again by the next day.
Or duñ ko clean.
Duñ ko clean. So lolu means xale bu wara dem change patam bi ci toilet bi, koku will be reluctant because if I feel the fofu is not hygienic.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then their dignity is at stake.
Yeah. So yeah, in that case also, what we normally, like if we build the structures for the school again, before we finally hand over, we have a meeting with the school management and also the communities, because we want them to take the ownership. It is not ours.
Yeah.
It is their own. So what we normally engage them is the sustainability plan for the facilities. So, and one of the things that we normally discuss with them is how can we keep the facility clean at all time for any user at all the time. So this is one of the reasons we do this. Exit meetings, with them, and then basically they have the cleaners on the ground who will be every day, early in the morning they will clean, before students come to school, and they will also ensure that there is water, available, water and soap available.
It's very difficult to manage public
toilets.
It is difficult.
And you know very difficult. You know why I'm glad you mentioned this. That also means that parents have a role to play. Parents have a role to play to train their kids. After you use the toilet, you have to flush it because there's the next person that's going to come. Satala binga use soko jehale dan ko wara dem road parce que dafa am keneen ko wara ñew. So lolu yep, it matters at the end of the day.
I'll suggest for you to start thinking using the normal these toilet seats. I mean the toilet seats instead of the ones that are low.
Low one ba bagin.
No, man, I don't think Bobu Morgan. I think Bunyo Muna talk.
No.
Bobu Morgan.
I don't agree, Ibrahim. You know why? Gis nga boo dee talk moo gën a hard pour manage pour nga am infection from boo dee talk because ñëpp dañoo talk moo gën a garaaw waaye bële soo jonkone your private part is not going to touch anything, so you're safe from any form of infection. But the moment it's sitting and it's skin to skin, skin to the plastic, the next person come in, mu talk again, and there's no facility bi nga xam ne you can what's the word?
Disinfectant.
Disinfectant, because when they am disinfectant. So nga defal len wana gi jonkon sa mo de again pour xalé to avoid infection. I might be wrong, Mr. Fati.
Yes, all the toilets seats, they have their advantages and disadvantages.
Wow.
Like you are mentioning, the toilet seat that we know that's Balde is like you just sit on it instead. We have the sitting type and also the squatting type.
Wow.
So the pop floors or the pop floors is the one that you normally squat on. So when you are ready for whatever you are doing, you just come and pour the water on it. That's the pop floors.
Or bo hamne dan ko de hecha.
That's the flush. That's the flush toilet.
Squat la way dafa demal bopam.
Yeah. So the other, when you sit on it, like you are saying, you can have infection of it because people have different skin infections probably. Either what they call reaction stories.
Wow.
So once it is not being cleaned, after use, somebody use, the person can contact infections. Of course, studies also have shown that, sometimes, particularly in the case of ladies, sometimes you realize that on the on the seat toilet also, if you drop like faces, sometimes you see water bubbles.
Wow.
So there was one article that I was equally reading, and then a lady got conceived as a result of that because a male used before the lady. And then,
beer.
Oh, wow. So when you drop, sometimes the water splashes on you. So obviously the opening of the lady, so the sperm of the lady
things
just
happen.
Exactly.
And the person got pregnant.
Yes.
Wow.
And don't be judu na den ko abort.
Pregnant. Wow.
But like I said, they are all advantages and disadvantages as far as the toilet is concerned.
I know.
And then coming back to what Madam Sonko is saying.
No, she's not Madam.
Sorry.
Jainaba
is saying
why
when it comes
you,
to the
Mr. Fati, why is this guy?
She's not qualified to be
why
Madam
is this
yet.
guy behaving like
She's
this?
not
Lead discrimination.
No, I know, Madam. You're missing.
And then with regards to the girl child as well, what we also encourage is each school, the toilets, particularly the toilet for the ladies, you also have a menstrual cabin.
A menstrual
cabin, which will be basically to shelter the menstrual parts of ladies in case if they wanted to, clean themselves when they're on their menstrual cycle. And then the other thing also, what we also emphasize or put in our documents is like inclusiveness, because if you look at most of the toilets, they are not friendly to disabled people.
Oh, wow.
So
that's true.
So we encourage that that also whoever is to build the toilet for the school, whoever it is, it has to create that inclusiveness so that the disabled people can also use it with the provision of the ramp, the armrest, and even the sitting toilet that we're going to provide, so that everybody can be inclusive. Because what we don't want is, you build a toilet when the others cannot use it.
Yeah.
So there has to be inclusiveness in whatever structure we are to build, both the school or in the community, to accommodate everybody.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Fati, for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much.
And we are happy to note that there has been significant progress when it comes to the availability of wash facilities in the Gambia.
Certainly.
But rural Gambia, they need, more attention, more funding should be sent over there to make sure that they also are even more comfortable. And raising awareness, we shouldn't forget that, because sometimes in local communities, the way they store water is very, it's bad. It can expose it to contaminations and all of that, which is happening in rural communities.
Absolutely.
For example, so and it's based on tradition.
Absolutely.
For example, listen, nakalolol to the funde dugal ndo. Bidongi.
20 liter gallons.
Pani without, proper storing.
Wow.
That they muna johe some, contamination, johe bir budaw ak yoyu nonu.
Onga gis sanyu gas toilet fully.
Wow.
Mu connect.
Wow. So yoyu yep are local and cultural initiatives. Yi nga xamantene fokk ñu enlighten ci nit ñi pour ñu eewu xamne ndox tamit du ne sa lekka rek a war a set. Sa ndox tamit dafa war a equally war a set. Te by looking at ndox nga ko xool ni miinu ne dafa set.
Non.
miinu ne dafa set. Dafa am process, dafa am sarta yuñ tëddal yi nga xam ne ndox bi dafa war a go through loolu noonu pour nga war koo mën a naan and then mu set. And everybody should stay hydrated.
Absolutely.
Especially in this hot weather. It's becoming humid. So stay hydrated. So Ibrahima, that is all we have time for. I'm wishing you a successful week ahead. Halis Bubari. Halis Bubari bari. We're looking forward.
Actually, si lijante.
Man lijante uma de. Yo bala mas mapos yang ma setan.
Lijante.
Buma jahase ñom. Mr. Fati, we're also wishing you, a successful week ahead.
Thank you so much.
And to all the Gambians watching from wherever you're watching us from. And I want to use this opportunity to thank the diaspora. We normally get a lot of messages from the diaspora, people in Senegal, America,
in Spain.
Everybody. So we really appreciate you guys watch us.
They follow and they contribute.
Exactly.
Sending messages.
We really appreciate that. So till we come your way tomorrow with another interesting program, bye for now and enjoy the rest of your day.